So I've had a few missed messages and DMs and stuff about like more in-depth detail on what's done to the car and differences in like this is just the setup essentially, what's all done to the car, and different mods if it's worked out for me how I've liked it and stuff like that. I've never really done a walkthrough on the car, so I figured like, hey, you know, now would be a good time to do a walkthrough. I thought of making some videos on the car. I mean, I don't really care about YouTube. There's a lot of clickbait faggots out there and shit like that, so that's not really for me. I just figured I was like, hey, why not document the car and document what I'm doing, and you know, for myself, because this car's gone through a lot of changes in the last 8 months. I mean, it was a stock car 8 months ago, and literally what a lot of people don't know is I collected every single part on the entire car, and then over about six months of last year, I collected every single part on the car. I mean, I'll post a little picture here, probably about $20,000 of parts, all the suspension, fuel system. Like I said, I'll get into all the nitty gritty of it here in a minute, but I figured, hey, why not make a more in-depth video, and then when people have questions, they can kind of go to, I can kind of point to them and say, hey, you know, this is the video, you can go to it, you can look at it and whatnot. I don't know how clear this is all going to be, because I said this is on a GoPro Hero 7, so. It's 07 GT500, obviously. I've had the car for just on 2 years now. I bought it the day I turned 18 years old, or not the day I turned 18, but I was like right after I turned 18 years old. I got it. But it was pretty much stock, had bolt-ons. It was a Eaton car at that point in time. It's gone through multiple different setups, multiple different transitions. But this is where it's at currently. It's definitely progressed, and it's on its way to be something, you know. I definitely going to be more of a race car here soon. That's my overall goal with it. I mean, I do drive it on the street a lot, but it's not really my main focus with the car anymore. I've kind of grown out of that with it. I'll have another car for that, but this is going to be more of a race car, and lots more changes coming here soon. But as pretty many people know, this is a fresh wrap, so it was white and blue, obviously, you know, white with blue stripes. I just wrapped it within the last month myself. So this is, we'll go over more of the appearance mods towards the end, but this is KPMF matte iced blue metallic or titanium. I don't know, like I said, I'll throw in some pictures and stuff like that as we go along in the video, more in-depth stuff. So like pictures of along the wrap and stuff like that as I was doing it and completing it. As many people know, it's currently makes a little over 900 wheel. To be exact, it made 925. That was on VMP's dyno right after we put the blower on. This is a completely bone stock motor, bone stock trans car. So yeah, it's definitely pushing the envelope a little bit, but you know, that was, you don't obtain records and go fast without, you know, pushing the envelope and doing stuff that people aren't doing. So that's what we decided on doing, and like I said, it was my choice on that. And I mean, like I said, it could blow up at any point in time. It doesn't really faze me. The car's going to be fast at one point. Like that's, I do want to go 8s at some point with a stick shift. So it's all progression. Like I said, it just takes time, and especially when you're this in depth, and there's it's a lot of moving parts. So, but let's get rolling on the actual mods of what it does have done. I'm gonna forget some stuff. Just, like I said, it's been so much. I mean, there's a good amount of money in the car over the course of the last year. So yeah, getting into the mod list. Like I said, we'll try to go over it. I hope there's really no background noise in it. There's somebody over there doing some shit, so, but I'll try to speak up a little bit. But I'm gonna go over mods. We'll just go start from the front, work our way to the rear. We'll go from all the actual performance shit, and then a little cosmetic. I don't even care about cosmetic bullshit. I just try to make sure the car's cleaned up and, you know, stands out, maybe be a little bit different than the rest. So that's why I wrapped it. But let's get going. Let's obviously start with the blower. It's got the VMP Gen3R on it. I love the blower. I love the setup. Obviously, I've posted about that quite a bit. If you follow me or know anything on like the GT500 forums, a lot of people ask, like, yeah, it's a TVS. It drives like a stock GT500. It just makes some badass power. It's a really badass blower. It's a non-secret sauce version, as people would say. It's just an off-the-shelf Gen3R. There's no pouring, no nothing done to it. Next thing up is the KB168 throttle body. I love it. A lot of people ask about the drivability on that throttle body. The number one thing I probably get questions about are throttle body and fueling. Throttle body in the intake, the DD149 intake, which is, you know, obviously the Pmas housing, MAF housing. And then, like I said, the KB throttle body, the mono. If you can't deal with a little bit of drivability issues, a little bit of rev hang out of the stop sign, something like that, I mean, if you're a street car and that's what you're trying to do, I mean, that's, you don't go out racing, you don't want the max performance, you're just a street car. I mean, I'm gonna tell people, you know, a monoblade's not for you. You know what I mean? Like I said, it is what it is. And no matter what tuner you have, no matter who's setting it up, a KB168 or any monoblade, they're gonna rev hang. They're gonna have a little bit different drivability characteristics than your average, you know, your twin jet throttle body, your twin blade throttle body, I should say. But yeah, it's the KB168 DD149. So that's pretty much the blower, the intake setup. It's got a 2.5 upper, a 10% lower. This is the Griptec ZPE pulley from VMP. And it's got an Innovators West 10% lower. That's the 10% lower has been on the car for 2+ years. The car was pretty much, when I got the car 2 years ago, was had a pulley on the stock Eaton and a 10% lower and exhaust and off-road X-pipe, and it stayed that way for about a year while I was collecting parts for it. Like I said, I collected all the parts for it over, you know, that course of about 6 months, and then did it all at one point in time. But yeah, on the stock blower, I'll put in some down below. I'll put in some like put in what it's done. You know what it did on the stock blower. It weighed 3920 when it was stock. On a stock blower, it made 526 on the dyno jet, and it went 11.3 at 126 mile an hour. That was my best with it. That's the best I could get it to do. That was on a pretty much basic street tire. That was the car was stock. Other than those mods, the car was stock. So pretty much easy. If it didn't have it, don't ask about it. You know what I mean? It was stock. So other than that, it's got the Division X fuel system. A lot of people ask about, you know, my thoughts on fueling. It's got the Division X fuel system. Obviously the air motive regulator, air motive gauge, Division X gauge, everything tucked together pretty nicely. It's got the Division X 1300cc injectors. As far as the Division X fuel system, you're going to see back in here, there's some 4 fuel lines with custom 4 fittings that I made. Made myself, PTFE lines. One of these fittings, when I got back from, like I said, the car hasn't moved in about 2 months. After I went to the 970 pass at 146 in it, I brought it home from Indiana, trailed it up, drilled it back down from Indiana, and the car is set in the garage for the last 2 months. And then in the last month, I've been wrapping it and just getting some motivation. Went in the car, wait until it cools down in here. It's, like I said, it's 90 degrees here still in Florida, so it's definitely not prime racing weather for what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish. But yeah, it's got, the reason I did this, one of the fittings cracked when I got back down from Indiana, like I was saying, right here, and it was leaking fuel out on one of the Division X fuel lines. And I'm not sure what it was caused by, but I'm pretty sure it had a little bit of pressure here, because like I said, the back of the Gen3R is so big that this line was kind of rubbing before, because it didn't have an 45-degree fitting like it does now, which I'm a huge fan of. I mean, I'm not a huge, like I said, I'm a pretty detail freak, but I'm not a huge cleanness freak on this car. I mean, I do collision work for a living, so I make cars perfect every single day. I don't really care about making my car perfect, because I just want to go fast. It's literally, that's my objective in it. But anyway, for fueling, that's what it's got for fueling. The blower, the intake. It's got JBA engine 3/4 headers. A lot of people ask me about those, how the fitment with them. The fitment was great. The bolts suck. Obviously, it's like one of the worst headers to put on, because the way the header's shaped and shit, was pretty shitty to put on, I'm not gonna lie. But I mean, obviously any 4-valve header, if you've done 4-valve headers, that you know they literally suck dick. I mean, literally they're no fun putting on. I mean, but when I did it, like I said, I did everything at one point in time, so the whole car was gutted. I mean, I'll throw in some pictures of, you know, along that process down below, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. As for the front, engine-wise, it's pretty much front half of the car. Motor-wise is essentially, that's it for that. It's got BMR everything, so it's I mean, all the red parts. A lot of people, I mean, there's a whole controversy, UPR, BMR, Steeda, fuck, Ford Performance, I don't give a shit, you know what I mean? Like I said, I just go with what works, what's worked for me. I'm not biased to anybody. I just go with what works. Like I said, nothing here on this car is sponsored. It's never, nothing's been given to me, say, hey, you know, put the good word on this. That's not what I'm about. Don't really care about it. I just go with what's work. I mean, if your product sucks, I'm usually gonna tell your product sucks, you know what I mean? And that's, I mean, I'm not a dickhead about it, but that's just how it is, you know, I don't really care. But it's got BMR everything. I'll throw in, like I said, I'll keep throwing in more pictures down below of, you know, the actual underneath of the car when it's up on a lift and whatnot. Like when I've had it up on a lift, it's got the rad support with no sway bar mounts, no front sway bar. It's got the cradle. It's got BMR or K member, not cradle. It's got let's just knock all the suspension out. It's got stock control arms still, so it's got stock control arms mounted to the aftermarket K member. It's got a XSB 012 anti-roll bar. It's got fixed lower control arms, so the non-adjustable, it's just regular poly bushing, nothing crazy. It's got VMR drag springs. It's got BMR upper control arm mount. That's it. No lower control arm mounts for the rear. You know, the lower adjustable mount. I don't have those. It's on a set of strange shocks, 10-way adjustable. The car cuts 100% consistency 1/560 foots, and we'll get into that why. I mean, I've had a 1.4 out of the car, but to get a 1.4, it's a straight dump at 6,500 RPM because, well, let's get into it right now. The car is gear limited. The car is a 315 rear end gear, so it's, I mean, it does 70 mile an hour in first, and a lot of people are like, well, he's got a 315 rear gear. You know what I mean? I'm a highway type of freak. Like, that's what I essentially wanted to try. I wanted to try, like, I had a theory. I do a lot of theories. I have a lot of theories on, you know, the way it's just set up, and mine's, I have a few things that are different than most people. I mean, I don't know many people that actually have ran a stock TR6060 with 315 gear. I mean, for the 297 first, there's not many people that run 315 gears in these cars. Everybody goes up. Everybody goes 373s, 410s, and to be honest with you, I've had them all. I've had 373, I've had 331, I've had a 355 car, I've had 315s like it's in this car. 315's been by far my favorite. I literally cruising 6 down the highway at like 1600 RPM and 75 mile an hour. So it does a little bit more about gearing. It does like 165, depending on what RPM I shut it down at. Obviously, like I said, we're playing with stock motor, stock trans stuff. So, you know, RPM is key. RPM is crucial. Like I said, there's so much I'm gonna be leaving out and forgetting. I mean, what we've obtained with the car and what we've done, different theories, different plans, and success we've had, success we haven't had, you know what I mean? It's like, had a theory, didn't work out. You know, going fast is all about that, you know, who's willing to try new shit, who's willing to do a tire change or gear change for a tenth, you know what I mean? Like, that's what going fast is about for me, you know what I mean? So, but like I said, 315 rear gear, and I don't know, I love it. Let's go to brakes. So as far as front brakes, as far as it's got some junk front coilovers on the car. The car really needs a set of like they're like, I'm talking when I say coilovers, they're not like a Viking coilover or anything like that. They're actually a junk coilover. Like, it's like a BC racing coilover, Godspeed coilover up front. Like I said, it's worked for me. As far as that, like I said, it's going to be getting a set of Vikings at some point, Crusaders or something, a solid front coilover, but we'll get there. As far as the front, like I said, it's got front aerospace brakes, 4-piston. It's got the street set up with non-drilled and slotted. I don't really like drilled and slotted because they squeak, all that shit, and I never felt they really needed. Car stops perfectly on this setup. As far as wheels, it's got 17 by 4.5 front with a 27 4.5, or 17 by 4, or 17 by, yeah, I think that's what it is, Ford Star, with a 27 by 17 by 4.5 Phoenix FX front runner bias, obviously. They're extremely lightweight. I've never had a problem with that setup. Always liked it. As far as rear, a lot of people are gonna ask me why I'm not on a bias. That's another question I get a ton of times. I like a radial. If you can slip a clutch and you can drive. I've never been a type of person that just straight dumps a car. Like, I've had more problems, like myself, like, you know, it's like bad habits, you know, some people can't slip the clutch, some people can't just pop it. I mean, I can pop it, but it's just like I cringe when I pop it, so which I'm working my way out of, because I'm about to go back over to a bias. But maybe it's just because the tire I was on. I'm not a huge fan of the Hoosiers. A lot of people have said that, you know, a Hoosier versus a Mickey Thompson bias are extremely different, which I'm about to figure out myself. But these are a Mickey Thompson right now. I had a Hoosier, like I said, on it before, 28 by 10.5. Now this is on a Radial Pro, and anything I've accomplished with it, like all my fastest passes have been on this tire. Obviously a 275 6015 Radial Pro. I've loved this tire. Like I said, it's deadly consistent. I go out and cut a 1.560 foot not almost every pass. I mean, literally since I swapped this tire on, it's been a 1.560 foot car, literally its entire life. Like, and like I said, I've cut 1.4 in my life, and it was literally the last pass I was out on. Just literally the last pass I was doing it in Indiana. Got a 1.4, a low 1.4, and it was badass. It was really badass. It was as fast as 8th mile it's ever done. It was on its way to be a mid 9-second pass without a doubt. But when I grabbed 2 to 3, the seat slider slid all the way back. The Corbeau FX1 seat slider pissed me off really bad. I had a abort pass, and is what it is. You know what I mean? Can't fuss about it, but they hook. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you can definitely tell the difference between a radial versus when you're feeling it. Like when I swapped over from a slick to a radial, it was like, damn, that's rowdy. Like I didn't even realize that difference until like I launched the car on a radial for the first time since the slick, and I was like, shit, dude, like that car rips. You know what I mean? So like I was really surprised then. But like I said, I'm getting ready to go back over to slick. I mean, something I have to do. I'm gonna change up the tire. If they made this tire in a 26-inch, I would be going over to a Radial Pro in a 26-inch. But they don't make this tire in a 26-inch. So I'm gonna go to an MT Mickey Thompson stiff wall 305 or 3053S is the exact part number. It's a 26-inch by 10. But people ask me why I'm gonna go to a 26-inch by 10. Just what I was discussing a minute ago. It's got a 315 rear gear in it. I need to shorten the gear up because, like I said, it does 165 plus mile an hour and 4, depending on how far I rev the car out. So it's a lot of mile an hour. I mean, I grab fourth at the top, like almost at the 1,000 foot. So I do like the tall gears, but I do want to shorten up just a little bit. Tire change will do that. Calculated out at 6,000, which a lot of people are gonna ask why I shipped at 6,000. We'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, it's worked, so it's gonna work. With a 26-inch, it's gonna shorten me down at 6,000 RPM. It'll be like 154 is what I calculated out in the top of fourth, which is gonna be perfect. That's exactly what I plan on trapping. And if I get my boost issue figured out, which I've had some, we'll get into that in a minute as well, but I've had some issues with the boost belt slip, so with the tensioner issues, which is, I mean, obviously 27 psi, not many people, you know, do that. Obviously, moving on to the inside, like I said, it's got Corbeau FX1s. I love this seat. I've always been a huge fan of the microsuede stuff, so that's why I chose those. It's got a rear back seat delete. I honestly don't even remember what brand it was, but microsuede Ford Performance steering wheel out of the Cobra Jet cars, you know, with a quick release. I love this. I love the steering wheel setup. I honestly never have it off, but I don't really care about it. I figured it was cool with having the fixed backs too. I don't need bags in the car, so airbags I should say. So I never really cared about those. Not where we're going, but it's got an MGW Gen 2 shifter. Never had any lockout problems in this car, like a lot of people say. I've missed a 1 to 2 before. That was purely clutch related. On my first ever pass after my maiden voyage, it had a Ram twin disc clutch in it. When I first finished the car, Ram twin disc clutch. And on my 1 to 2 shift, it was locking me out, and I knew I needed to put clutch right away. So after my first outing, it trapped 140. That was the first time I ever trapped 140. It was literally the first time I've ever been out with the car. 100% maiden voyage. And 111.1 at 140, absolute flop. I mean, for ET wise, you know, for what it could have done. Obviously I knew that. I mean, you gotta crawl before you walk. So came back, put a clutch in the car, and it went, I put the McLeod RXT 1200. Love that clutch. It's worked out great for me. Only thing that's a little bit tricky is the slipping point. A lot of people ask me, like, what do I do at the line? I've had a few DMs on that. This clutch doesn't slip like I like it to slip. I will say that. I love the clutch itself because it's, you know, it's taken abuse and never had any problems with it. But if it was a perfect clutch for me, I would say I would like to have like when I bring it up to the top, I can have a little bit more of a clutch slip point. It's more of it's an on and off switch. You know, there's nothing, it's either on or it's not. So like, and you have one little spot that if you catch it just right, you can bog out on it and get it out of the line with, like, obviously not bog out on it, but without the car bogging and without the car just straight dumping it, you know what I mean, and like hooking up. You can get the car to, I mean, I've always been a clutch slip type of guy. Like, you know, I've really enjoyed, you know, getting the car to roll out. And I've been working with the clutch, you know, getting, since it's all seat time. You know, when you're doing stick shift stuff, it's literally all it is seat time. So getting that figured out. And, but other than that, it's been a great clutch. Obviously it's got Lund Engage. It's tuned by Lund, Brandon Doretta. He's been my boy since I've finished the car. The car's been tuned by Lund. And when it had the pulley set up, when it was, like I said, when it was stock, it's been tuned by Lund, even on the previous owner, on his setup. And then when I got it, obviously did all the mods and stuff like that. And then Doretta's been the one that's been tuning it with me since, you know, the previous blower. I had like the regular 2.3 TVS that was on it before I went to the Gen3R, and it's worked. I mean, every goal I've accomplished, I owe it to him. You know what I mean? He's worked with me countless hours, I would say. You know what I mean? Without a doubt. He's set some crazy time aside for me, like, you know, at different points of the day, later in the night and stuff like that, to help dial in the car to get it to where it's at now. And every goal we've had, we've accomplished. So big thanks to him. This, people ask me about the stupid hydro. I chose a hydro brake. I don't even know if I showed you the rear setup. I'll show you the rear brake setup in a second. This is gonna get removed. I figured I was gonna need it. I don't know. I was just buying dumb shit when I got it, so I figured I wanted to do the strange rear brake setup with a dual caliper. But the problem is the dual caliper, when you do the strange brakes, no aftermarket brake has the stock e-brake fixture, so the line that goes back and mounts the back of the caliper, none of them have that. So I was like, okay, we'll just route one of the brakes. We'll go out here real quick. We'll just route one of the brakes into, obviously there's two brakes back here, strange dual caliper setup. One of the brakes goes into the hydro, the other one obviously is hooked to the regular rest of the car, and never ever once used that hydro. Thought I was going to use it. Figured I was like, nah, I'm not a faggot, don't really need it. I mean, obviously it's not a turbo car, so if it was a turbo car, I would probably need it, obviously, you know, depending on how it was set up and stuff like that. But obviously blower car, you mad it and you go. It either works or it doesn't. Like I said, there's gonna be a ton of stuff I'm missing. It's got aerospace front brakes. Worked out great. Never had a problem with them. Never had really any problem with the brake setups. Car stops pretty aggressively. You never 150 mile an hour stop. It's literally no problem at the track. So as far as exhaust, it's got Borrell axle backs. I like them because they're not fucking extremely loud, but it's loud when you're on it. Stock over axles, 3-inch X pipe, and a set of JBA long tubes. JBA long tubes are pretty good. I've had good luck with it. People ask about those too. The install sucks absolute dick on those because of the way the bolt patterns are set up in them. They're not like the ARH where they kind of slip up, or the Cooks. But other than that, the fitment's absolutely perfect, and it's pretty much, I think it's the only 1 3/4 header out there. So the car makes a ton of torque too, you know what I mean, on that tire. Like, you know, you obviously lose a little low end torque supposedly when you go to like a 2-inch setup or something like that. The car made 925 wheel horsepower and 888 foot-pounds of torque. Obviously, quite a few people have seen that video. I'll if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it down below. VMP made a video on it. Mustang Lifestyle made a video on it. So I'll probably throw in a little video of it on the dyno when it made that pull. A lot of people, it's another controversy statement. Cars had a lot of controversy to it. A lot of people don't think it's made that, or we made some bullshit numbers. You know what I mean? The car weighs 3,650 pounds with me in it, a race weight, and that calculated out with the power. It 100% with the mile an hour it traps 146 mile an hour is what it did trap, 118 in the 8th. Car's 150 mile an hour car all day long as the belt. We can get the belt, like I said, the whole belt issue, you know, 27 pounds is a lot of restriction. Kind of get some belt slipping up top. Once we get that issue figured out, it should be a 150 mile an hour car all day long based off it trapping 118 in the 8th. But, you know, let's just say 146, which is what it did, you know, 146 mile an hour at 3,650 pounds, that calculated out is right about a 900 wheel. So obviously weather plays a role into it, but it did, it's been 970 at 146, and it will go faster. It's 100%. Like I said, as long as it doesn't break anything internally in the motor, well, I'd like to attain the record with it, and then if it does, then it's time to build it and go real fast. I mean, like I said, I got pretty steep goals with the car and what I want to be at with it next year. So 8s with a stick shift is definitely in my future. Just got to get it there, you know what I mean? It's a lot of moving parts. So but other than that, if you have any other questions, just let me know, and then like I said, I can make a video on them. But as long as it's big stuff, like I said, I'm not really a big guy just to make bullshit videos. I actually want to bring data, you know what I mean, actual legit stuff to the table. So go to walk around the car. The car is, like I said, it's in KPMF matte ice titanium blue. The actual stripes are embossed into the actual wrap itself. So but yeah, any other questions, just comment below. My Instagram tagged in the description, so you can ask there or anything else, and then something else what you want to see, and I'll be happy to make it.